All right, guys, we're back on this 2001 Suzuki SV650S. My last video, we did the charging system in it, and I had mentioned that it sounded like it was running on one cylinder. Well, guess what? The reason we're back is because it is running on one cylinder. It's only running on the front cylinder here. So what we got to do, we got to diagnose what's going on with it. I have done a couple things already and have looked at a few different deals going on. I did have to add some fuel to the tank. I checked the spark plug. It was definitely black. It does smoke on that rear cylinder. It's a blue smoke, so I know it's not running on both. It is a little bit of blue and black, but it's more blue, so I'm a little concerned about oil burning in it. I did start it. I did spray some starting fluid down the throttle body, the carburetor in the back, and it doesn't pick up at all. It does have spark. It's got to be, like I said, I shot fuel down in there, fuel, when I say that, starting fluid, and the spark plug is wet, but it's not running. So what I need to do, I want to do a compression test on the rear cylinder and see what kind of compression we got on this thing. You can see I already have the air box out. Like I said, I was doing a couple things. I wasn't going to shoot a video on this. Then I was like, you know what? I did mention it in my last video. I'm sure somebody could say something, hey man, air compressor kick on, but yeah, so I figured I'd just go ahead and shoot a video on it and try to diagnose what's going on with this thing and see why it's running on one cylinder. All right, so let's go on and get the new spark plug out of here. We'll pull this off. I'm going to leave the tank on. But like I said, I already know it has spark. I have seen that already. I've changed out the spark plug. Again, I'm wearing my mic on my hat because my other mic went dead, so excuse my fan blowing on me. It's a nice day out. But let's get the spark plug out of here. We'll disconnect the front cylinder spark plug so the thing doesn't fire off on us. Grab a magnet for that. Well, that went a long ways down into the bottom. All right, so this is a brand new spark plug, and I've ran this a couple times. I just want to show you what's going on. Might as well if it focuses on this guy here. You can see it's a little wet. It's definitely white. There is definitely no firing from that rear cylinder. It is chugging along, chugging along. So let's grab my compression tester kit here. Again, this is from Cornwell. I've had this for a long time. Part number KA2506. You can use just about any compression tester you want. I'll leave that up to you what brand you get. Grab our 12mm adapter. Make sure I get one. You gotta make sure I grab the one that has the Schrader valve in it, because if I don't, I use one for a leak down test. Also, I have two different hoses. So we'll throw this in here real quick. If I can get it to start. I don't know why I'm battling it so hard. Well, maybe it's not 12mm one. Yeah, it would help if I get the right size on there. That's a 10mm adapter, not a 12. So used to doing a 12 on everything else. All right, so now maybe it'll actually go in there and start to thread in instead of not. That went in a little. I don't like that. What's going on here? All right, so I finally got that thing to go. I was like, why is it not going? I just not, it was me. It wasn't the tool, it was definitely me. So let's get this hooked up here. All right, we'll have this sitting here. Might be a little tough to get in there to see that, because I'm gonna have, I think I have to hold the clutch in on this, so we can do this here. Let me pull the front spark plug cap off of the front cylinder. All right, guys, so I killed the battery on accident, but let's go ahead and it's finally charged. Let's go ahead and check compression on that rear cylinder. Like I said, it's not running the rear cylinder. I do know that. So let me maybe move the position a little bit. I gotta put my arm in here to open that throttle up a little bit. Let's see if you guys can still see that. Yeah, so key on, throttle wide open. We're looking at, what was that, right at 205 PSI, and that's actually really good on this guy right here. So yeah, we're at right at 205, so it's got good compression. We know that. I have already changed out the spark plug in it beforehand, and I know it has spark because I checked spark. But let's go ahead and we'll just, I don't remember, it's been a couple days since I charged this thing up and got in here, and I can't remember where we were at in the other part of the video. But let's go ahead and just double check the spark again real quick. Oh man, left the other half down in there. So now I gotta, bad part is what I gotta do, I gotta put a little super glue on here, and then I'll put it back down in there, hold the threads, it'll come right out. So let me get that out, and then we'll go ahead and check spark. All right, so I got it back out, and I put in my leak down tester, because I want to do a leak down on this thing too. Let's go ahead and just double check the spark. You can see it has spark. You can hear it blowing back out of my leak down tester. So let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and I'll lift this thing in the air. I'll hook my leak down tester to this. We'll spin it to top dead center on cylinder number 2 and see if we have any leak down. I doubt it having 200 and something pounds of compression. I know there's no leak down anywhere on that. So you know what? I'm not going to do a leak down. Let's put the spark plug back on the front, and then we'll put one back in the rear here, and then we'll see what we can do. Maybe we'll spray a little starting fluid down in here and see if maybe if it'll pick up or not. We'll try to see what's going on. We'll see if that's one of the factors. I've done it, but I could have not got it right. So let's go ahead and take this out, and then we'll throw a spark plug back in it. That way we can we'll run it and see if we can get the fire off of some starting fluid. Get it to catch up on that rear cylinder here. It's really odd. A customer did say, you know, his dad was riding it and it started to not want to pull itself up a hill. All right. It's a new spark plug. We have spark. Put that on it. Put the front cylinder one back on. All right, so, and we got gas. We grab some starting fluid. Choke this thing a little bit. Let's fire it back up. So you can, like I said, you can definitely hear it running on 1. I just pulled gas into the cylinder by doing that. I mean, I got it completely closed off. It's not doing anything. Try a little starting fluid. You hear wanting to catch. Oh man, hold on. What do I see? Huh. Check this out. I think it's getting too much gas. Look at this. It is pulling it right past the needle. I don't know if you can see that or not. You see that? Holy smokes. It's overfueling. It's drowning that cylinder out. So I gotta pull these carburetors off real quick, figure out what's going on, why it's sucking all of that all that gas past the needle up that emulsion tube like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and yank the carburetors off camera. We'll throw them on my bench and we'll take them apart and see what we can find on the inside. All right, so we got the carburetors out. That was a heck of a feat. I can definitely tell somebody's been in there before. Of course, being an 01, what do you expect? So this is the front carburetor. What I did find is that the return cable was not actually in here. It was hanging down. We do have the vacuum cap. That's good. And then let's check here. This runs to the diaphragm fuel pump, which is done by pumping. So that's, you know, that way it doesn't always stay on. I did find a crack in the fuel line, so we'll replace this piece of fuel line. I just got some in the mail. So what I'm thinking happened, of all things, let's get these hoses out of the way here. My guess is that the main jet, just flung gas all over me. So what I'm guessing is the main jet in here fell out and is just sucking up too much gas. So let's go ahead and pop this open and find out. Again, get yourself a nice JSI screwdriver set. Hell, you can even get a cheap one off of Amazon. This one's a cheap one I'm using here off of Amazon. It works just fine. And I use it, honestly, I use it all the time. All right, so let's take a peek. Anything fall out? No, nothing did. My guess was that main jet had fallen out for it to be picking up that amount of fuel. Or, because it's picking up right around that needle. So, all right, well that looks good. Let's go ahead and I think that's an 8, and I'll grab a couple flatheads here real quick. But this one should work just fine. Come back over, pull the main jet out, and I'll look up to see if what it calls for stock. Of course, I'm getting old and blind anyways, so I have to bring down my trusty old magnifying light I got. Man, am I gonna need my old man spectacles too, am I? That is showing me 130, I think it's saying 137.5, what it's saying there on that rear. Carburetor definitely looks a little yuck, but let's go ahead and pull out the, what we call it, the emulsion tube, or there's another name for it too. I can't think of it off the top of my head. Doesn't look horrible. All right, pilot jet coming out. Yeah, somebody put a new needle and seat in here. I can see a mixture screw. Pilot jet here, it's a 15. And it's clear, that's good. All right, let's flip it over, and I knew I was gonna get a bunch of gas. Let's take off the cap here for this vacuum slide. Needle's a little gross, but not horrible. I mean, it pretty much just cleaned up by doing that. But I want to know why it was pulling all of that fuel past it. I guess we'll see. Let me grab a pair of needle nose, pull this out and see what clip we're on. See if we're on this middle clip. Yeah, my eyes are getting bad fast. Now I need my glasses for all this junk. All right, let's see what clip we're on here. There is a shim underneath it also, it looks like. I can see it down there. Shim on top. Is there a spot? Nope, that just has one spot for that to be at. So we don't have to worry about the clip being out of adjustment. I do see a shim down here underneath, which is going to be a pain to pick up with gloves on, of course. Why wouldn't it be? Yeehaw. So we'll put that back together. And I know Suzuki's have been known and notorious for this, is that they like to wear out that little brass piece we were just talking about in here. And they like to get oblonged. I've seen that happen before. It doesn't look that way. I don't know where my flashlight's at, but it looks all right. I know you guys can't see that, but that little piece down here, inside of here, that'll get wore off sideways just because of the angle of these throttle bodies and the way it drags. It would wear off this side, and a lot of times you got to change those out just because they get wore out like that. And now I need to get on my hands and knees and find this little bitty spring I dropped. I found it. Oh, so lucky. Take the glasses off so I can see a distance there. Drop this little guy out of here. I hit it with my microphone, which is around my neck. All right, so let's put that back in here. Needle, shim, just like they had it. Drop this guy. It's got a nice, the O-ring still looks good. All right, that's in there. So I'm gonna grab my flashlight. I'm gonna inspect this little brass piece up top. Like I said, I can't remember the true terminology for it, but I see these things get damaged all the time. I'm actually working on a 1979 Suzuki GS550E right now. If somebody had put a screwdriver in cylinder or in carburetor number 1 in Pride, and you can see the dents in that little piece. I know they don't usually sell these OEM. You can probably find them at Sudco, SUDCO.com. They're out of Compton. They do a lot of carburetor stuff. You might be able to find it through them. But let me grab my flashlight, look, and see what I find. All right, guys, so I went through that carburetor and really didn't find anything wrong with it. I stuck it back on the unit over here. Let's take a look at that real quick. I stuck it all back on. Got my sync gauges on here. I got an IV bottle hanging off my airline up there, running down. Got the gas tank unplugged. So here's my problem. Spent good money on this pile of crap. Everybody's talking about, oh, DigiSync. I was going to do a video on it because I'm like, I had an older one with just lines on it. I have nothing but problems with this piece of crap. I've gone through 3 or 4 brand new batteries, and I maybe get one use out of it, and then it goes to Chinese writing again or whatever the hell. What I don't have a problem with are vacuum gauges. I don't have a problem with these things at all. I don't have to worry about a battery. I don't have to worry about anything. So, hey, DigiSync, I'll be hitting you up again about this pile of crap. I'd probably like to send it back to you. You can keep it because I don't want it. But anyways, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to check the sync on these things real quick to see if they're synced together. I'm running a IV line, like I said, bypassing the diaphragm, the fuel level senders and all that stuff, because I don't know why they have it routed the way they have this hose routed, but hey, it is what it is. So let's go ahead and fire this thing up and see if that makes a difference on what's going on here. I can hear that number 2 wanting to kick in right now. So, looking at the sync, we're really close on the sync, but it definitely sounds like it's running on both cylinders already, coming off the IV bottle. Yeah, it's running on both cylinders coming off the IV bottle. So what we're having a problem with apparently, I mean, that sink is really, really, really close. I can get it probably just a little bit closer than what it is, as long as I don't drop stuff down in the motor. Closer. Yeah, that looks perfect. So here's the sink on the carburetors. That looks really, really good right there. I can hear it's definitely smoking. I don't know if that's fuel or what, but it's running on both cylinders now, that's for sure. I think this thing has just been so overloaded with fuel. So we may have a problem with one of the diaphragms not operating properly in here. Or it could be this silly clog, could be a silly fuel filter they put in there. It could be this gas shut off. I'm not really sure. I'm going to let this thing warm up a little bit more. You should sync the throttle carburetor or throttle bodies when it is warmed up better. Got a little bit of a high idle. Yeah, that looks really good. Really, really good. Whew. Definitely stinky and smoky though. So my guess here is that one of the diaphragms in the fuel tank or the one on the side feeding the carburetors down here. Possibly, I might just go through and just check these lines. They could be broke, they could be cracked, they could be pulling air. I can go through and check those and see what we got there. But now it's running on both cylinders. It smells really, really rich. I don't think that's oil burning, but again, this thing had fuel pumping in the cylinder like mad. So I'll let it run. I'm gonna let it probably run for a while on this IV bottle. There's not a whole bunch of gas in there, but I want to get it nice and hot and to see if it clears that up. Turn my fan around the other way. I'll run through, check these hoses. I'll probably put new fuel, check the fuel line in here, see what's going on with that, and double check to see that this thing is actually getting proper fuel flow like it needs. All right, guys, so through process of elimination, I figured out why we're running on one cylinder. So basically what I did, let me just show you, take it off the stand here. What I did, I just went from here and there's enough fuel in here to run. So I wanted to make sure this was pulling fuel. I did, it pulled a lot of fuel pretty quick. So then I went from here to how it's supposed to. You go from here over to here, and then the outlet's over here, all right? So I did a test same way. Started it up, let it run, and it didn't hardly pull any fuel. So now I went back just to bypass this part of the fuel pump and just stay with the one on the petcock on the gas tank, I bypassed it and went down here, just added an inline to it there, got rid of all the other junk, started it up, and guess what? It runs on both cylinders. So we got a bad fuel pump. Process of elimination, of course, with the check compression, the spark plug, the carburetors. I thought it was overfueling, then I got to looking at both and I read the manual a little bit more. It was perfectly fine. I just really haven't seen them pull that much fuel through the main jet like that at an idle. It's a little bit different, but hey, it is what it is. That's why you have service manuals. You read those and it gives you the information you need. So my biggest thing is, if you got questions, make sure you got a service manual first. You can go to e-manuals online, pretty much get anything. You can just Google search a lot of these bikes and you can get this service manual and you can download it for free. So out of process elimination there, we got a bad fuel pump, the big main one, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to see if I can order a rebuild kit for it. I want to keep this thing as original as possible. I don't want to run it off of the gas tank petcock just because it's not how it's supposed to be done. It's possible to do it that way, but I want to make sure it's right according to the manual. Go from the fuel tank vacuum petcock to the actual fuel pump, and then from the vacuum fuel pump to the carburetors from there. So I'm going to look online, order that up. If I can find it, I'll install that, and then we'll check it out again and see if that cures our problem. All right, so basically they don't make a rebuild kit. Now I did find the OE one, but we're just going to go ahead and take this out. We're going to take it apart and just take a look and see what we can find. See, maybe it's just a cracked diaphragm, or let's see the whole reason behind it. I love this little ratcheting, this rotary ratchet from Stanley. Everything I have is pretty much snap-on except for this Stanley, and man, it's phenomenal for little things like this. So we'll take it apart, see what we can find. I did find Quantum Fuel Pump makes one. It's about 69 bucks, 70 bucks. Also, you have aftermarket ones from Amazon. But let's walk over to my bench, take a look at this thing and see what we find inside. It could just be clogged. All right, so we're here at the bench. Let's take this thing apart and just let's see what's going on. It's just a metering diaphragm in here, just like you find in like your jet skis, older two-stroke jet ski carburetors, your weed eaters, chainsaws, all that stuff. Basically, it's just a diaphragm. It pumps like this, and it can run pretty much upside down, backwards. It doesn't matter as long as it's got vacuum. It'll still pump fuel. So let's just take a look inside and let's just see if it's dirty. I have no idea if it's dirty or if it's just that shot. Oh, there's the back piece. So that looks good. Now, like I said, it's just a diaphragm in here. Basically, it's getting pretty hard. It should be a little more flexible than that. Not a whole bunch, but a little bit. So basically what it happens when it's like this, it'll pull vacuum through here, which will open this little guy and pull, and then it goes through this little orifice here, so on and so forth. Let's get this little guy out. Sometimes these diaphragms can get really hard and it just doesn't pump correctly. This is what kind of holds that in place. It just kind of pushes down in there, and it looks like that didn't break. It's just pretty hard. Let's see if I can get this one to pop apart. I don't want to take this big gasket off. There we go. Yeah, this is literally set up just like your jet skis. Now, there's a spring behind here. As this pumps, it just goes in and out like this. And when it does that, it creates vacuum. All right, so you got fuel coming in, vacuum, fuel coming in, fuel going out. So when that pulls down, it's going to pull this diaphragm open, letting fuel in, and then close, and it'll basically pull this diaphragm open that I took out, and it'll pull fuel through here and then push it out. So basically just kind of push and pull kind of deal there. Let's pull this guy out and just kind of, oh yeah, that one, that hard as a rock. That one just shredded apart. So no matter what, we had to order another fuel pump rebuild kit or a fuel pump. Okay, so there you go. Check this out. Here's your whole problem. I don't know if you can see that very well. We'll get some more light down here. Right there, it's folded over. It's folded over. It had sucked itself into one of the cavities right here. So basically it wasn't opening and closing properly, and that's why it dropped the cylinder. And these rubbers are so hard that it literally just broke apart. I mean, just broke up. They're just hard as a rock. I mean, this one broke. I mean, I went to pull them apart so I could check all this stuff, but right there's a culprit of why this thing's running on one cylinder. It's getting fuel, but it's not getting enough fuel to run both cylinders because it's not opening and closing properly. It was hanging up here. So now we know the cause of the problem. I like to, we get in here and we look at things, yeah, we can fix them, but, oh, well, I put a fuse in it. Well, what caused the fuse to blow? What's causing this thing to run on one cylinder? Okay, we know it's the fuel pump. So we can get another fuel pump, or we can get another rebuild kit, which I haven't found a rebuild kit for it yet, but I have found the fuel pump. But anyways, I want to know what's going on inside the fuel pump. What is causing this? What caused this to fail? That's the good part about it being a good technician or mechanic, is finding out what is causing it to fail. Okay, the fuel pump's bad. Let's look in the fuel pump and see why it went bad. Well, that's why it went bad. This diaphragm got really hard, got sucked down into one of these little orifices here, and was not opening and closing. It wasn't metering properly to let the proper amount of fuel through. And that there is why it's running on one cylinder. So we'll order up probably another, just a whole entire fuel pump, because I cannot find a rebuild kit for this. Here, let's just go ahead and, since we're going to get a whole new fuel pump for it, let's just go ahead and we'll peel this off and kind of show you a little bit of everything. Because this one here is just, it's shot. It's getting hard. This has basically a spring behind it. I'm just trying to be semi-careful with it, but I don't want to just tear it up. Still want it to be in halfway decent condition. But this thing is so old, it's sticking everywhere. All right. It's coming up slowly but surely. So basically, that's all it is. It's got a spring back there. And when the piston goes down in the cylinder, which is a vacuum on this, it pulls this backwards, which creates a vacuum inside of here, opens that, which creates a vacuum inside of this side, or either on this side, pulls that open, pulls the gas in, and when it closes, this side would open and push the gas through one of these little small points there, and then it would go, basically push it right out here. Pull it in, push it out, pull it in, push it out. There are a couple different, you can have two styles or two exits, but this one only has one. This one is factory blocked off. So again, you would have fuel coming in to here with that diaphragm opening and closing from the vacuum of the motor, and that would pull fuel in, fill this up, and when it closed, it would push it out, and then so on and so forth. So I'll get one of these ordered up. You're probably tired of me explaining this thing, so we'll get one ordered, and we'll throw it in this 01 SV650S Mikuni cord, and get this thing back on the road. All right, so guys, we got the fuel pump in. I got it stuck inside here. You probably barely see my head wherever I'm at over here. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go ahead and fire it up. Let me grab my heat gun so we can kind of see if the temperature is gonna be the same on the pipe, see if we can see what it sounds like. I know I skipped a step on putting it in there. I just got it in. I just got back from Austin, Texas yesterday, so I just jumped in the shop and did it real quick. Saw it came in, it's like, sweet. Stuck it in and took it out. Goes in the same way the other one came out. Plugged all the hoses back in. Got the tank kind of on here. It's not secured all the way, but it's on there. Let's see if we hit the button. I mean, of course, it fired right off. It is carbureted, so it does have fuel in both float bowls yet. So let's just sit here and let it idle and see if we can hear it drop that other cylinder, or if it's going to stay running on both cylinders. So I'm just kind of looking around to see where all my parts are. Let's go ahead and turn the choke up and see if we can. I can hear it firing on both cylinders still, so that's really good. Yeah, that's how it's supposed to sound. I think that fuel pump's working how it should. Definitely cold natured though. Yeah, that's both cylinders. Definitely different beast. Like I said before, you guys saw that this thing went south. One of the diaphragms got hard, it folded inside. Didn't let it get the proper amount of fuel to run to both cylinders, so now it's over here idle on both cylinders. I'm gonna put the bodywork back on it the rest of the way. I can throw you guys on my helmet, take you for a ride, but I don't think there's a point in doing that this time. I need to get a new chin mount so I can get you guys a better view than being on top of my old helmet, since I got my new KYT helmet. So I'm gonna call that a fixed deal, man. You guys saw we went through, you know, checking, I think we checked compression. I was gonna do a leak down, but I was like, well, it has great compression. There's no point in doing a leak down. You know, we just kind of went through a little bit of everything. Checked the spark plugs, you know, and we got into the fuel pump. I eliminated this fuel pump and just let it pull off of the one on the petcock fuel pump or fuel diaphragm, and it started running on both cylinders. So it kind of led me to believe that this was bad. So we took this apart, got the new one in. The new one, the OEM one is on back order. The one I did get is off of Amazon. They're not very expensive. I hope this one lasts, but it didn't have a release date for the fuel pump. I couldn't find a rebuild kit. So if you know where a rebuild kit for one of these is, where you can get it at, I did do a bunch of research, man. I didn't have the time. If you do know, go ahead and drop a comment down below, and you know, that way I can get a rebuild kit for this, so you know, my customer will have it for in the future. Because I like to keep all my old carburetors, all my fuel pump stuff like this, because you just never know when you're gonna need a part of it. So I keep them all, stack them on a shelf. I've used many parts out of other carburetors in the past that you can't buy separate. So if you got a link to a rebuild kit, let me know. Like I said, I did do a bunch of research and all that, but this thing sounds like she's running on 2 cylinders. I'm gonna throw the body work on it. I'm gonna take it for a ride here, and I'm gonna call it fixed. So again, guys, got any problems with motorcycles, ATVs or UTVs, go ahead and drop a comment down below, or you can find me on Facebook at Limitless Power Sports Service and Repair, TikTok at Limitless Power Sports Sir and Rep, and then you can email me at limitlesspowersports78@gmail.com. Appreciate y'all tuning in. If you haven't subbed, please sub and all that mumbo jumbo, post notifications, thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever. Just helps me, you know, helps with the algorithm apparently with here on YouTube. Again, guys, thanks so much. I'll catch you on my next upload.